We are live. Morgan, welcome. This is episode 26 of the Danny Miner podcast.
Hello, hi everybody. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Danny.
Yeah, no problem at all. I'm sitting there. I'm hoping we're on Instagram. There said there was one mistake. It might have been Instagram. I don't know if we're live on Instagram. I'm going to try to get us on there.
All
There might
right,
have been, we might, but we're live everywhere else, I believe.
great.
Because I can
All the
see
places
people are
that are
coming.
great.
Yeah. So Morgan, listen, I wanted to get you on my podcast because I see you're doing really good on TikTok. I think you got a great personality, and I think you're going to be a content creator someday. 100%.
Well, thank you so much. That's a huge compliment coming from a content creator. Thank you.
Listen, I watch your videos, and you have that good personality, and that's what people want to see. Honestly, they want to see somebody with a good personality. They want to like you. They want to follow you. They want to see your life, and I can see you definitely doing it. So let's hope TikTok stays.
Yes,
That's
I agree. This TikTok ban, like what's happening with it? What's going
well.
on here, Danny?
Listen, they had the Senate last. Here's the problem. They realized they made a mistake, Morgan. I mean, they did. They realized it because this is going to hurt the economy of the U.S. Not only do you have
Absolutely.
content creators like me that are making a full-time income, you got businesses on TikTok Shop that will not survive this. Like you're going to lose hundreds and thousands of businesses in the United States if this app goes away, this TikTok app. But I think our government's finally realizing, whoa, we made a mistake here. You know what I mean? And now they don't know how to stop it. Honestly, that's what I think.
It's too late. It's too late at this point.
It
I
is.
mean, with the backlash and I mean, just with everything going on, but like you said, a huge thing for me, I personally only do it for entertainment purposes. But for so many people, it is that extra stream of income that you bring in. There's the TikTok affiliates, there's, the people that are using TikTok to put food on their table for their families. And now it's just kind of getting banned. And let's just hope that the government comes through with this one.
I
We
and
need to
see
put our
here.
powers to other things, not a TikTok ban.
I mean, that's the problem. I mean, you have, let's be honest, there's school shootings everywhere, right? There's
Yep.
shootings, there's everything going on. The country's a mess, the country's divided. But one thing they can agree on in Congress is getting rid of a friggin' app, which makes no sense at all.
The app
And
that
it's
makes
so
everybody
dumb.
happy. And yeah, I saw, what was the TikTok? It went super viral. I'm sure everybody has seen it. That the woman was like, let me just watch my Chinese app on my Chinese phone, wearing my Chinese clothes and my like you know what I mean? It's just everything is Chinese. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I just don't get it. Let's just admit they do it better than us. Their app is way better than ours.
That's what I've been trying to say. Have we come up with anything even close to what TikTok is?
No. And listen,
No.
I'm on an app called Clapper. Have you heard of that? And it's not a sexual transmitted disease. I swear to God.
Oh, yeah, I'm not on that app, and I probably wouldn't advertise it if I was.
The app is called Clapper, guys, and it is, I swear to God, it is a twin to TikTok. A twin to it. It really is.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
I mean,
right.
it looks like TikTok. It's everything except the algorithm sucks. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my
You don't get the
gosh.
videos you want, but it
Because
is
they're not
TikTok.
collecting our data.
That's what it must be.
How do they know what we want to see if they can't have our data anymore?
That's true, though.
I miss when TikTok could read my mind and I could think something and then two scrolls later I would be able to see a video about it. I miss those days.
I totally do too. I hear you. But now Clapper is, like I said, I'm on Clapper. I got 13,000 followers on there, right? So I do still put all my videos on there, but it's just not TikTok. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just not TikTok.
Nothing
I
will
like
ever
it, but
be
it's not
TikTok.
TikTok. No. So I
Hopefully
stream
10
to
years down the road, we'll have something better and we'll laugh about this whole TikTok thing.
That's true. And listen, we got Instagram, you got Facebook. I just not into them apps. I do it, but I just don't think they're TikTok, and it makes me not want to do it. I mean, I
Exactly.
don't
They're
know how
not.
you feel.
Oh, I completely agree. It's not TikTok. And there's, again, somebody else made a video about it. It's just something about it. Maybe it's like addicting things that they like sprinkle into the app itself. I'm not sure, but it's not TikTok. They're like Instagram reels, not the same. Facebook reels, not the same. All of these things, not the same. So I joined a video app a little while ago, even before this TikTok thing. It's called Scoops, SCOOPZ. And I don't
Okay.
like have a profile, like I don't make any videos on it. I just scroll. So I started kind of using that. The censorship on that app is not what it is on TikTok. So you might be scrolling and see things that you don't want to see. But that's the closest thing that I have found. And the algorithm is pretty on point with that one. But I haven't like posted any videos or anything
Oh,
like
I'm
that.
going
So
on as
I
soon
don't
as
know
we
how
get
that
done.
works.
As soon as we get done, I'm going on this app. What's it called? Scoops?
Scoops. And if you put like, when you download like these apps, they're like, what's your interest? Food and travel, blah, blah, blah. If you put like crime, which is what I put because obviously that's
Right.
what I'm into. So I put crime and oh boy, have I seen some crime videos.
Okay.
Nothing that I would get in trouble for watching,
Right.
but
I know what you mean.
you know what I'm saying.
Could you be a content creator on there? Could you post your own videos or no?
I could, and I don't want to say anything negative about the app. I just feel like I wouldn't want to, if that makes sense. I wouldn't want my face on it, if that makes
Okay,
sense.
so it's
Like I
it's a weird.
could, anybody could. I would just choose not to. I haven't really seen any videos that are like similar to TikTok in the way of like, get ready with me or let's go to Target. It's just more so of, guy holds up gas station. It's more so like CCTV footage or like police
Gotcha.
cam foot. It's not really like vlogging or things like that, I should
I
say.
know what you mean. Yeah, I totally understand it. So here's the thing. Well, when this TikTok thing with this, do you think it's going to be saved? Because I personally do. I didn't think it would be, but I think they came to their senses and they realized we got to save it.
Uh, I think that crazier things have happened. I think that they will try to save it because I read, and somebody call me out if I'm wrong or I misread or if I'm misspeaking. But apparently, President Joe Biden, who was the person to first, propose this TikTok ban, apparently now he's kind of going back on it and saying, never mind, just kidding. I take it all back. Obviously, he didn't say those exact words, but layman's terms.
Right. And
He's
now
even regretting it.
and then Chuck Schumer came out today. He's regretting it. Now the Senate almost passed a bill to give it 7 more months until they could try to sell it. But Tom Cotton, a
One person.
Republican congressman from Arkansas, he
Yep.
decided to screw everybody, and people are going to not be able to eat because Tom Cotton decided to down the app.
Yep.
Honestly,
The one person. Did you know? And again, this is speculation to me. Maybe it is confirmed elsewhere. But I heard that everybody had agreed that they were going to vote a certain way, and Tom Cotton had agreed that he was going to vote. And then all of a sudden, it was just kidding. So like everybody else was kind of like, what are you
yes.
doing? I thought we were kind of like all on the same page here. Like what was that? Like we talked it out. We discussed this, and that's just what I've seen from it.
Right. And
Coming
Morgan,
from a
here's the
blonde.
thing. You're supposed to work. You're supposed to work for your people, right? They're supposed to work for the people. The people are telling you, 190 million of us, we don't want this. So why are you doing this? When the people are telling you
Exactly.
they don't want it.
That's something that the government and the people of the United States both forget. It is in the Constitution. The government works for us. They work for us. And that's something that the government forgets. And that's something that we, the people, forget very often, that they work for us. So I think that that's all kind of getting lost in this whole thing. I agree with literally everything that you just said. But I mean, it's a fair point. They work for us. And
And,
it's just kind of getting lost in translation at this point.
I'm going to tell you I'm going to tell you two reasons why it's going away too. Why they want to get rid of it. And I hate to say this, but the news is done. People don't trust the news. Nobody watches. I don't know if you've seen since the election, CNN and MSNBC, their ratings are so low. The other day, right? Listen to this, Morgan. The other day, their ratings were
I'm ready.
50,000 people. Danny Miner had more ratings than CNN. People watched me more than they watched CNN. Like the news is done. It's done. I'm just a local cop
50,000
from a small
people?
town. You know what I mean?
50,000 people?
They only had 50,000 people watch their CNN. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then the other news, I think, had
They're in trouble.
80,000. I mean, what I'm saying is, I mean, content creators are getting more views than the news, and now people are not watching TV either. And so Hollywood's hurting now. And this is hurting everything social media. We're getting our entertainment from this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if
I
you think about it, Trump won the election, even though he's the old man, right? He's an 80-year-old man. What he did was he realized that the news is no more, that podcasting, content creators, they're the ones that are going to get the word out. And he stayed away from the news and went with content creators and podcasters and won because of it.
Well, you know what? Because what happened to Donald Trump in the media? What happened to Donald Trump in the media? Would you trust them either? I mean,
Never.
we don't have to get political about it, but when you have somebody that won Person of the Year in 2020 and it's advertised as, you know, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are People of the Year 2020. It's a wonderful feat for America. And then 4 years later, when Donald Trump is coined Person of the Year by Time, same publication, I don't remember who it was, same publication, it was, you know, Donald Trump joins the likes of Hitler, Stalin, and others with this
Yes.
title of Person of the Year. Who else was Person of the Year? Did you say that for Taylor Swift? Did you say that for, you know, it's so media. And I remember when the campaign was going on and Donald Trump had originally said about the whole taxes on tips, that he doesn't want taxes on tips. Boom, whatever the publication was, is this is terrible, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to the economy, Donald Trump doesn't know what he's talking about. 2 months later, when Kamala Harris said that she was going to do the exact same thing, the same publication said, joy to the American people, Kamala Harris is getting rid of tax on tips. And it doesn't have to get political, but that's what I'm saying. If I was Donald Trump, I wouldn't trust the media either. I mean, there's half of America believes what the media is saying. So I don't blame him. Now I'm getting
Listen,
heated
I
like
see
I'm
it.
Donald.
I totally feel your frustration. Listen, I just watched a podcast the other night. Are you in that? You don't watch poker, do you? Know?
I don't, but I know how big you are into it. I know you're a poker player.
There's a big
I don't
poker
watch.
player. There's a big poker player. His name's Daniel Negreanu. He's
Uh-huh.
like, he's one of the best in the world, right? And he was a big time liberal, big time, right? Like I actually deleted him because I couldn't hear him anymore. Okay. I just couldn't hear him anymore. He has turned 180 degrees because people showed him like the videos they showed of Donald Trump that they said were racist or this and that. They only showed parts of the video on the news. They didn't show the whole video. So when Negrano said that people showed him the whole video, he realized he was being manipulated by the news. And CNN, MSNBC is manipulating everybody. It's so bad. But Morgan, I'm like you. People
Oh, man.
fucking believe it. I don't know how
That's
they
what
do
I'm
it. They believe it.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't get it either.
I don't, I don't understand, but I feel like there's one side that could be respectful about differences, and then there's another side that can't be respectful about their differences. And unfortunately, the side that can't be respectful about their
You
differences
got
are the
somebody from
ones that
TikTok here.
are, hello.
Welcome, Cheney. I'm glad we got somebody from TikTok. We're talking about the
Hi,
band.
Cheyenne. Yes. Oh my gosh. So much going on with that.
So listen, I feel better about it, but I mean I'm still a little sick to my stomach and having a hard time to eat and sleeping until I know for sure. But I do live in Vegas, so we have something to help you sleep here. Yeah, I'm just gonna stay there.
I'm like thinking in my head, what does he talk about? It took me a second.
Listen, I was a cop. I'm not a cop anymore. Cannabis is one of my favorite
You were
things.
the
I'm not
best
ashamed
cop
to
in
say
the
it.
state. You were the best cop in the state. What are you talking about?
Well,
Your
listen.
reputation, hey, for anybody that's watching this that doesn't know Danny personally, his reputation preceded him. He was the best cop in the state. Everybody had amazing things to say about him all the time. And I was lucky enough to know him pretty much since I was born. But yeah, so don't let him be humble, okay? You could go online and see thousands of articles praising him and his detective work. So don't let him
Thank
be
you
humble.
so much.
Don't let him be humble. It's the truth, Danny. It's the truth.
I'm gonna frame this minute podcast right here. This is gonna be the first one going out, man. I guarantee. You know me. My ego's like Trump, man. I want my ego out there.
Oh my gosh. I know. I absolutely love it. I love it.
Listen, I'm glad you came on. Honestly, I did
Yeah.
want to get you on because I know you like true crime. And honestly, I'm
Yes.
not just saying that. I like your personality. I think you can make it in content creation. I really, really do. And if you ever need any help, just reach out to me, without a
Oh, I
doubt.
love it. Oh, I
And
will
and
in
if
a
TikTok
heartbeat.
stays, come on my live. This time, I promise you, I'll get you on my live.
He canceled on me one time, guys. I'm not
I
salty about it. Don't worry. I'm not salty. I
okay.
don't
Let's
still
move.
remember months later.
Okay, I wanted to talk about one other thing. Okay, we talked about the TikTok ban. What else did
Yes.
we want to talk? We talked about Tom Cotton, which we all hate. We hate Tom Cotton. We're going to get him
We
voted out.
hate Tom
We're
Cotton.
voting
Oh
him
my
out. We're
gosh.
voting him
We
out. I hate
hate
using
Tom
the word hate,
Cotton.
but
Yeah,
listen,
that's true.
here, this is what I want to get your opinion on.
All
Okay?
right. I'm so excited.
Okay, you're like, God, I don't even, I'm going to guess your age. Can I guess your age?
Yeah,
All right, I'm going to guess you're 30.
that's a
Am I right?
great guess. That's a great guess. If you didn't get it right, I was going to give you a hint. That's a fantastic guess. Yes, I am 30. But
Okay,
I'm
that's what
actually
I
20. I'm actually 21, but yes, I'm 30.
said. Well, listen. So I want to really get your opinion on this because I grew up, in the '80s. You know what I mean? I'm old, okay?
Yes. I
And
know.
I just did a video that just like 2 hours ago, where a 13-year-old boy fathered a child with his teacher, a female teacher, fathered a child at 13. I kid you not. And Morgan, I probably have done this year 40 videos of female teachers sexually assaulting their students. And listen, when I grew up, this shit never happened. I mean, when I just did this video today, I thought, what is going on? What do you think it is? That's insane. Am I right?
Either they never got caught, or the stigma back in the time is wha- that's a cool thing for when it's the female teacher and the male student. Picture in the 80s, let's just say it's the 80s and that's going on, right?
Okay.
It's not as, taboo back then. We don't have social media back then. We knew about Mary Kay Letourneau because she was all over the place, but we had no idea if
I forgot
Nancy
about her.
Smith.
Good point. I
Yeah,
forgot
the
about her.
Mary Kay Letourneau. Billy was 12 years old. I follow him on Instagram actually. Mary Kay actually passed away from cancer a few years ago. But as soon as you said that, but when it comes to crime or anything, it's always a question of, is it so insane now and it's crazier now, or is it just that we have the access to social media now like we didn't have before? So something that would have normally made the local paper or would have been swept under the rug is now posted on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and now the whole world is seeing it. And now that's your algorithm because you just watched that. So you see, an example of a teacher, sleeping with a student. Well, now that's on your algorithm. You watched the whole video, you commented on it, you did whatever. Now you're going to see all the videos about teachers sleeping with students where, 20, 30, 40 years ago, you weren't hearing about that. So it really is a question, are people getting crazier, or is it just we're hearing about it more now? And that's what I wonder. Like all the videos you see of the people losing their minds and, just crazy things going on. Is that just starting to happen, or was that always happening and we just didn't have access to it in the past?
I think you're 100% right. But let me tell you this story. This story's even sicker because this
Oh
is what
gosh.
happened.
Sick
Listen, this
stories.
happened actually in 2019. So it happened
Okay.
5 years, happened almost 5, 6 years ago. Here's
Yeah.
what happened. The kid was 13 at the time. His father is scrolling on Facebook, sees the teacher with her 5-year-old child, and looks and says, holy shit, that looks like my son. And that's how they solved the case. Yes, the kid's like
No.
19 now. He said, that kid looks like my son. And they figured out the teacher slept with him and he had a kid with her at 13.
Stop. So
Yes,
see, when you
it's
first told me
crazy.
about that, I thought it was like he's still 13 and she was pregnant and stuff. Oh my gosh,
5 years later, they just found out in December going through Facebook posts.
my god.
I mean, that is oh my God. And listen,
That's like
I
detective sleuth work though. That's extreme.
And listen, I'm with you. You know, I think there's a fine line when it comes with guys. And I know this is not. I know this is not going to be popular, okay? But can a dude be raped by a girl? You know, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's different for guys. You got to admit
I
it
get what
is.
you're saying. No, no, I get where you're coming from. I get where you kind of have to like watch your wording with that because, that's a little. I think the what you're kind of saying is when it comes to females being in that position, it can just kind of happen and a man can make it happen. But when it's like the opposite, there's something that has to happen to a man in order for, how do I word
Right.
that? I don't know what
I
I'm
know.
allowed to say. You know what I'm saying?
You
There's
no,
something that a man
we're on
needs.
StreamYard. You can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you
there's
want.
there's something that a man needs that in
Right.
order to do
Right.
that.
I know what
So
you mean.
I think that there's ways, but then I also think that that is involuntary also. That's not necessarily like, I think that that
And
is
he's not
involuntary.
mature enough to make that decision.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly, exactly.
He's
It's
not
just
mature enough. Well,
yeah,
I did
it's
another.
all double standard. It's all double standard.
If you look at the video I did yesterday, the reason I'm bringing that up, the video I did yesterday, we had another teacher. I think it was like a 14-year-old student or a 15-year-old student had sexually assaulted him, and they gave her 0 jail time. She got probation. And my video was, would a dude have got probation for this? No, he would have went to jail for 20
He would
years.
that's literally what I was thinking in my head before you said that. He would have gone to
Yes,
I think actually I probably saw that video and that's why I was already saying that in my head.
yes.
But no, that never. If it's a I don't know exactly the person you're talking about. I couldn't picture them, but if it's a pretty, white female or whatever, of course they're not going to get what an old grizzly gross old man would get, you know what I mean? And it's terrible. I mean, it's double standards and it shouldn't be that way, but that's
And more,
absolutely the way it is.
Morgan, when I do these videos, they always go because you got the guys in the comments saying, yo, where were these school teachers when I was young? Then
I
you got the
know.
girls
It's
saying, you guys are disgusting, this and that and this and that. But I mean, if I think about back in the 80s, if like a 15-year-old guy in the 80s came up to me and said, I'm sleeping with the teacher, we wouldn't have told anybody. You know what I mean? We wouldn't have told anybody. We'd have thought this guy was like the greatest guy in the world. You know what I mean? I hate to say that, but it's
I
true.
know. I know. And it was a different time back then. It really, really, really was. It
Yeah.
was the things that you could do, the things that you could say, but like truly, I know. I wasn't alive in the 80s, but I consume a lot of 80s media and I am old enough to remember the old days. Um, but it is, I mean, the state of the world, I mean, has just completely changed. So yes, absolutely. Even when I went to school in, the 2000s, people would have been like, shut up. Like any guy that would be doing a, female teacher would be like, shut up. Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Good job for you. But then, that's super illegal and disgusting. So you can't do that. When I was in high school, there was a ninth grade teacher. He was a male and he was super hot. All the girls loved him, yada, yada. Um, and so I was in ninth grade at the time. We all had a crush on him. Well, the next year, he ended up marrying a girl that had graduated like the previous year. I think it was like that summer, like she graduated and then they got married. And they were actually together for a long time. They had like a bunch of kids together. She would have obviously been like 18 at the time. And I had to guesstimate mid 30s, early 30s. But they were together for a long time. I keep up with it on Facebook. Um, they are broken up. I do remember it was a huge, big drama thing a few years ago, but they were together for a long time. But of course, the rumor mill just went crazy, and he taught ninth grade. And I remember when they got married, administration, or there was rumors at least that administration was like, should we still let him work here? Like what he did was technically not illegal, but we also know exactly where he met his wife and how long ago he met his wife. Like we know the circumstances. Like,
Right.
yeah, I don't think
And,
he lost his job, but yeah, he didn't do any crimes that anybody knows of.
right. And I don't know if people understand what we're talking about here. Like when people are in certain positions, even if it's a consensual sex, it's wrong. It's a crime because you have authority over that person. So as a school teacher, you have authority over that person. If you're a corrections officer and you're having sex with a prisoner, you have authority over that person. So it's a crime. It's a crime,
Absolutely.
even if the person consented. I don't know if people
Absolutely.
understand that or not. You know, it's a
Oh, it's a
crime.
crime no matter what. Absolutely. It's
Yeah, I
absolutely a
mean,
crime no matter what.
camp counselor, all of that stuff. I mean, it's the same thing, you know. But this world, I know you have a couple kids, right?
I have one.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know why I thought you
One.
had more
You
than
don't
one.
keep up with my life. Oh my gosh, I keep up with your life more than you keep up with mine. Jeez Louise. I got one. I
but
got one.
but aren't you? How old's your child?
He's 2.5.
I mean, I'm sure you're worried about him in this world. I mean, this is a dangerous world anymore. It really is. It's a dangerous world. So I'm
Oh,
sure you're worried.
absolutely.
Yeah. But listen, let's get on. We're it's already 6:26. We still have 34 minutes. We will talk about crime, I promise. One last thing before we go right into crime. And we're going to go into it. What the hell do you First of all, where do you live? Do you live in Florida now?
I do. I live in northern Florida. Yep.
Okay. You didn't see any of these friggin' drones, have you?
No, those are in New York, aren't they? They're
New
not
York
down
and New
here.
Jersey. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Do you know anyone that's seen them?
I don't, but I mean, I get on this algorithm here on TikTok where people are posting them all the time. Do I think it's happening? Yeah, I do. You know, I do think it's happening. It's weird. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's our government. I don't know who it is. I don't
Oh,
know
it's
if it's the
definitely
UFOs.
happening. Oh, it's definitely happening. No, the government came out and said, well, I don't know who came out and said that it's nothing to worry about. They're not a security
Yeah, we
threat.
got somebody
Just
from
just don't
PA
worry
right
about it.
there. We're looking for drones
Been
in
looking for
PA.
drones. Oh, we're in PA. We know Pennsylvania very well. That's what I was
Yeah,
just about to say. New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. We're out in PA. I'm curious.
and
No,
listen,
guys.
I don't know. Listen, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I
I know
really am.
you are, Danny. I know you are.
Okay. Oh, Northeast Williams, Northeast. All right, Northeast PA.
Northeast.
In the
That's where
house.
that's where we're from too. That's
Yes,
crazy.
it's got to be somebody that knows us. Got to be. But
Yeah. Do you
anyway,
know us?
but anyway, I follow all these UFO stuff, and there's this
Yeah.
doctor. His name's Doctor Gear. Have you seen him?
No, I've never heard of him before.
He is
I
saying,
don't
"Oh,
follow
drums,
UFOs
drum
though. I
player.
don't
Oh,
follow it.
there you go. Welcome." But anyway, he's saying within 3 days there's going to be disclosure about alien life in 3 days. That's what he's
Within
saying.
these next 3 days.
Within 3 days, they're going to tell us that these drones are aliens and they're showing themselves. That's what they're saying. I don't know. I'm just going by what TikTok told me.
So I got a question for you. I don't know the guy's name, but have you heard? You probably have heard, or you know his name. The guy that made the public records information available on the internet. Apparently, it's like in the Constitution or something. Public records, like everything that the government does or whatever, has to be made public record. So this
Okay.
guy, many many years ago, like took it to Congress, said that the American people deserve all this information, yada yada, and the government like just gave up all of this declassified information because they're like, it's not declassified, it has to be, known. So anyway, he goes on to say that he's gotten so many documents of like different cover-ups, different things that the government has done throughout American history. And he posts it because, it's legal, it's what the American people deserve to know. He said that the one thing that is under lock and key that the government will not give up no matter what is UFO and alien life. He said that you could get documents of the craziest, most wild, most vile thing, that anything that's UFO, alien life, extraterrestrial, sorry, my dogs are like barking and going
That's all
crazy, is
right.
like locked down, like lock and key, just you can't touch it. So he said that like it's like the alien life. That's the issue.
Here's what they're
So
saying.
we'll see what
Listen,
happens.
I'm just telling you what they're saying, okay? I know people are going to think I'm nuts. They're saying these UFOs are coming from the ocean. They live in the ocean. That's what they're saying. They're not
I
coming from
don't think
another planet.
anything's nuts. I don't think anything's nuts anymore. I
At
really
this
don't.
point, I don't either. And listen, I went to the CIA website. You can go on there, you can Google UFOs, and there is documents that are unclassified where they're talking about aliens in them. I read it. I mean, you can go to their website and Google it. You really can. It's crazy.
Really?
Yes,
Well,
I
I believe in aliens. I think it's 100%. I mean, I obviously, it
I
would be
totally
stupid
believe
to
it.
think that we're the only life forms or Earth has the only life forms. I mean, that would just be incredibly ignorant for anybody to think that there isn't life forms on other planets and that they're not a lot smarter than humans. They could have, what we developed a couple billion million years ago, they could have developed 27 bazillion years ago, and they're just so much more evolved than we are. We don't know. They could
Now,
have
listen,
chips in our brains. We don't know nothing. Earth,
you know what I
Earth,
think it is? And you're going to think I'm even crazier. Because I
Danny,
am
there's
crazy.
nothing, there's nothing you can say that'll ever make me feel like you're crazier than I already know you are.
Listen, I think there's different dimensions. I do. That's
I,
what I think it is. I
hey,
think we can't see it.
you want to talk crazy?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to talk crazy? You brought up different dimensions, so I will tell you this story. True
Okay.
story, 100% true. I remember one time when I was younger, I have a younger brother, about 2 years younger than me, and we were climbing. We used to love to climb on the back of the couch. The way our couch was set up, it was right against the wall. So we would just kind of climb on the back of the couch. We were super young or whatever. And this is where I'm going to be called crazy because it is crazy. So one day I'm climbing around across the couch with my brother and I fall in to the wall. And I'm not joking. And I'm just like literally crawling, like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't want to say through the wall. It was literally the wall. And I'm just like crawling the wall, but not on top of it. It's more through. It's very hard to explain because it's a different dimension. And then I would just kind of like, I don't know how to word it. And I was so young, so I don't remember details. So I just remember crawling and my brother and I both being in there. And it was
Uh-huh.
just this weird mystical place. Nothing really stood out. It was nothing crazy. It was just weird that we were in the wall. I remember that. Like, what are we doing in the wall? And then somehow we come out, we come back to this regular dimension, and we were like, again, I don't remember the details. I just remember we were in the wall. And we come back out, and I'm just like, oh, wow, that was crazy. That's wild. And I didn't really think much of it until years later, I saw an episode of The Twilight Zone. And the episode of The Twilight Zone was this little girl fell into a portal in a different dimension under her bed. And of course, it's fictional for those of you that don't know The Twilight Zone. It's a fictional TV show from the 50s and 60s that was,
Yeah.
spooky thriller. But so it's fictional, but this girl fell in a hole on the like under her bed, and I'm watching this video and I'm like, and again, it's not a video, it's a scripted TV show, but this girl's crying out like, mommy, mommy. She's in this different dimension. She fell in this hole and no one can get her out. And I'm like, oh, that happened to me, except I wasn't scared. I loved being in the wall. It was so much fun. But I was like, oh my god, that exact same thing happened to me. Like, I just fell into this hole in the wall. So I texted my brother as soon as I saw that episode, and I was like, oh my god, do you remember the hole in the wall? And he's like, what are you talking about, you crazy psycho lady? I'm like, no, go watch this episode of The Twilight Zone. This is exactly what happened to us when we were kids. And he's like, what are you talking about, you crazy lady? So I guess I am crazy, but I did go to another dimension. I'm not making it up. I didn't even know that it was possible until years later. In my defense, how can you make something up that you don't even know exists? You can't. You can't.
And
You just
listen,
can't.
I totally, honestly, I agree with you on all of this stuff. I think personally, and I know people are not going to like this, I think we've been lied to since day one about what we are, how we got here. I believe this whole thing is a big bullshit lie. And I think they tried to hide it on us, and it's coming out. It's coming out. And people are not going to be able to handle what's coming out. Have you seen Tucker Carlson, what he said?
Mm-mm. I keep hearing that name, but I still don't know who it is. Is
Oh,
that
you
a
don't
dumb
know
thing
Tucker
for me to ask?
Carlson?
Is that a dumb thing for me to ask? I hear that name all the time, but no, I don't know who that is. Is that dumb?
He's like
Is
the
that
number
dumb?
one reporter in the world.
So that is dumb.
No, he was on Fox News, but he got fired. And
Sorry,
now he's on his own.
my number one reporter is Danny Miner. I'm sorry, I can't speak on
See,
that.
thank you. I appreciate that. But listen, this is what Tucker said. And
All right.
Tucker scared me when he said it. He said that he was with these UFO guys, these whistleblowers, these
Uh-huh.
whistleblowers with Congress. And he said what they told him scared him enough that he won't tell his family. I swear to
Like
God,
to
that's Tucker
protect them
Carlson.
from this information? Is that what he meant?
Yes, he meant what they told him was so scary, he didn't tell his wife and children.
Well, then you know what?
Could it be
I'm glad.
demons?
Oh my God. You really don't know. You hear like I don't know. I'm sure because you do the true crime and everything. I'm sure that your algorithm online is, spooky, scary, weird, different, unexplainable stories. I'm sure that you've seen like all these stories that just cannot be explained.
Right.
So maybe something that he heard, I don't know. I always change the subject by trying to get back to another subject. I'm trying not to do that.
Right.
Maybe something he heard was something that is like common knowledge. He just didn't, maybe we think that it's fake. Like we don't believe it's real. Maybe he found out something that we think is fake is actually real. And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to keep that in my locked up brain.
That's what he
I ain't coming
said.
back to that.
He said it's actually kept him up at night, what they told him.
It would be very, very alarming if, I mean, I hate to say this, but if like soon enough he like himself because of that information, like that would terrify me. Like not telling your wife and kids, staying up at night, and then like eventually down the line, like that would be like, okay, coming
But
with you.
think about,
Because whatever
listen,
the
I'm
fuck
gonna
it
I'm gonna
is,
freak you out even more. I'm gonna freak you out even more.
that's not what I
Now,
need right now.
these alien abductions, right? You've heard these people saying they were abducted by aliens, all this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They were tagged, they have stuff tagged underneath their skin so the aliens could follow them. Think about this. We do that to animals.
Oh
Could
yeah.
they be doing that to us?
Oh
They
yeah.
could be.
Oh yeah.
You don't know.
Oh yeah. No, we don't know. We do know, Danny. They absolutely are. We just don't know how and we don't know when. But why are so many like alien abduction stories before they became like popular stories? A lot of them were all the same. So it's like, yeah, you can copy somebody else's story like, "Oh yeah, I was abducted by aliens and this happened." No, why is it all these different people from different areas that never heard each other's stories telling the exact same story? That's
Yes.
what it is. That's what it is.
Did you
I believe in aliens. I've never been abducted by one. I would have rather been abducted by an alien than have gone through the wall. I've never been abducted by an alien that I know of, unfortunately.
I have never seen anything. I've never been abducted.
Me neither. Me
I
neither.
wish I
Never.
did though. I want
Never.
to see.
I do too. I would love that. Like, take me to your planet. I
Yes.
might not be able to survive. I'm just a human, but take me and show me. Show me a whole new world. I'm totally about
Okay, so we'll get off that because we're talking too much about aliens. Let's go into crime.
it. Let's go into crime. Yes.
All right. So a couple cases. We talked about the teacher and sexually assaulting students, this and that. What do you think? Now you follow me on the Koberger case.
Yes.
Okay.
You're
I
the
got
only
that's
person I follow on that case. So anything that you don't say, I don't follow. I don't follow that case like that.
that case. That made me popular. I had about 50,000. I used to do politics before I got into true crime. So I was on TikTok just doing politics. I went up to 50,000 followers just doing politics. Then I switched to true crime, and that's when the Koberger case happened, and that made me famous on TikTok. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If that case didn't happen, I don't even know if I'd be known on TikTok because that case is really that blossomed me up
Well,
there.
like, yeah.
I
So wait,
mean,
what's
yeah,
your
I mean,
stance
I'm
on it?
almost
Because maybe I haven't seen your videos. So what's your stance? Do you think Brian did it or he didn't? Maybe I haven't followed it
oh,
like I
he
thought I
did it
did. Oh, he
100%.
definitely did. Okay.
Yeah, 100% he did it. But there's so many people with conspiracies, it just drives me insane. Like, here's the thing, Morgan, DNA is huge. You can't explain why your DNA is in a room other than you were there. So they got it on the knife case, his DNA. I mean, the case is done, it's shut and closed. I mean, the case was left at the scene and his DNA was there, the knife case. He's done. But yet there's people that will make stories up just for clicks. And they do it. They do it just for clicks, honestly.
There's people that still think that Scott Peterson didn't kill Lacey Peterson. So, I
I,
mean, there's people that'll think fucking anything, Danny, okay?
I totally agree. And here's the thing. I think Scott, I'm glad you brought that up. I think
I could
Scott
talk about that
Peterson,
all day. All day, I could talk about that.
I read so many books about him. Now, I think he's 100% guilty. I
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But I think that he's got a possibility of a retrial. But I don't know if that's going to happen. If the Menendez brothers don't get a retrial or a resentencing, Scott Peterson isn't. I can tell you that.
Scott Peterson 100% did it. And I will tell you how I know. Because you know how it's all like circumstantial and all that, the circumstantial evidence, and that's what they claimed with Scott Peterson. I will tell you exactly the one reason I know that he's guilty, because he told his mistress 2 weeks before his wife disappeared that this was going to be his first holidays without his wife. And what else did he say? He said that it was like the first holidays without his wife and that it's going to be very, very hard for him. That was 2 weeks before his wife disappeared. And there's a whole bunch of different evidence, but that's how I knew. And like, for example, I'm a mother, I'm married, everything like that. I could not imagine my husband and son being missing and a week later being on the phone with somebody saying, "Oh, the Eiffel Tower is so beautiful. I wish you were here," as I was at a vigil for my husband and my son, my missing son. Like that wouldn't be me. Like I would be the person like running through the streets, ripping my hair out. Where's my baby? Where's my baby? Like I would be the person standing in front of the camera, bawling my eyes out, like we're wasting time. This is what they were wearing. This is what they were doing. Scott Peterson, he's getting interviewed by the detective the very first night. His gorgeous, beautiful 9-month pregnant wife is missing. And he's sitting there like, well, I guess this morning she was watching Martha Stewart. I would have been like, go find my baby. Like, this is what happened. This is the times that it happened. You know what I'm saying? That man, and there's people that still believe that he didn't do it. And
I know.
that people act different under different stress. If you sincerely loved your spouse and your child, your unborn child, but if you sincerely cared, uh, yes, people might act different, but they don't act like that. They don't act calm.
Right. And
Sorry,
you
I
want to
get I
know,
get heated.
you know what? You want to hear a sick factor in this?
I do.
And I hate to bash men because I'm a man, but I got my daughters and my girlfriend and everybody. I'm with
You
a
have
bunch of women.
all women in your life, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Do you know that it's most likely when a guy cheats, he cheats when when his wife's pregnant or his girlfriend's
I
pregnant.
didn't know that. Or women are more like likely to get killed while they're pregnant as well.
Yes,
I did know that.
yes.
I did know that. I
And men
did.
are most likely to cheat on you while you're pregnant.
I,
It's so I don't
isn't that
listen.
insane?
I don't know why guys do these crazy things. And I don't get why guys just listen. I went through a divorce. It was fucking awful. It was awful. But listen, it's better than going to jail the rest of your life. I don't know why these guys do this. You know what I mean? I think it's better not to go to jail.
So wait, did you consider the alternative? Did you consider jail at first, and then you were like, no, never mind, divorce is
No, no,
best?
I didn't
I
consider
have
it.
I have experience in this. Divorce is just best.
Listen, I rather listen. When I went through my divorce, I was so broke. I was just happy to be broke. At least I wasn't in jail. I was just broke. You know what I mean?
you
But it
you lived
is.
out your time.
Listen, it is. I mean, honestly, though, it's getting bad. I mean, anytime there's a missing woman, it was her husband or a boyfriend. I mean, it's to the point that it's an epidemic.
Oh
It's
yeah.
sick.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
But again,
it's
going back to what we talked to before, this has been happening for many, 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 many years. And I think that the Lacey Peterson case was the first case that like brought it to prominence, the news media taking on true crime. That was like a big thing back then. And now, of course, with social media. But I feel like that it's not an epidemic. This has been happening. Again, we're just hearing about it more because now we have more media sources and we have different ways to hear about it. It wasn't newspapers and horse and buggies and things that stayed regional. Now things that would have normally stayed regional are like national. So
yeah,
I
and
don't think it's happening more. It's just we know more about it now.
right. And think about this. I mean, in the 70s, the 60s, that was your business. Like they didn't even arrest you for hitting your wife back then. I don't know if people realize that. If there was no evidence and the wife said you didn't hit her, that was it. They didn't arrest you. So times have changed back then. It was crazy. They just let things go.
I mean, it
And
was
then
in commercials. If a wife didn't make her husband a cup of coffee that tasted good enough that he would have to bend her over and like punish her. It was
yeah,
literally in commercials
I
and
know.
ads in the 60s. Like it wasn't even just, it was normal. It was normal.
When I grew up, my mother couldn't have a checking account
Yeah.
until the
Yeah.
70s. I mean,
Yeah.
it's totally crazy. But my question is like, first of all, 80% of the divorces are filed by women. Men don't
Yeah.
file for divorce. They don't get divorced. They just stay married. Women do file a divorce. But guys, my question is, just file for divorce instead of jail for the rest of your life. I mean, I don't get why guys do this.
Like Chris Watts thought that he was just going to run off, that his wife and his two children would just stay missing forever, and he was just going to magically run off with his little mistress, and it would be fine. It would be happily ever after.
That's the same thing, like you said, with Scott Peterson. Like, what did he think?
Yeah.
He's going to be with that girl for the rest of his life? I mean, what?
Yes. I think in Chris Watts's case, I think that he wanted to run away and just be with this woman. I think in Scott Peterson's case, I don't think he necessarily really wanted to marry Amber, be with Amber. I don't think he wanted to marry anybody. He didn't want no kids. He
No,
didn't
he's
want
a
anything
player.
like that. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So in Scott's case, he just had to get rid of Lacey before she even had the kid. So then he doesn't have a kid, he doesn't have a wife, he's not paying child support. He had to get rid of all of them. And that I feel like was Scott Peterson's case. So I do think Scott thought he was going to get away with it. He had rich parents. He was successful in and of himself. In every interview by anybody given from both sides of the family, people that knew him from both sides, everybody said that he was the baby. He was the spoiled one. He was the only child between his mom and his dad. Like they had children, separately, but he was the only child between his mom and his dad. And he was so babied and he was given everything he wanted and all the money he wanted. So in Scott's case, I really do think that he thought that, his wife could stay missing or he could get a good enough lawyer. And what did he do? He went out and he got this big fancy LA hotshot attorney that he sincerely thought would find him or would have him found not guilty. And then what happened? So I truly, truly do think that Scott thought that he would get away with it. Chris Watts, I have no
Right.
idea what the hell he was thinking.
It's crazy. It is
Oh,
crazy.
I don't
And
know what he
listen,
was thinking.
we all know it. Like when Dateline comes on, we already know the end, right? It's the same
Hmm.
show every night. It's the same show every night.
Husband
I
or
mean,
wife or wife, spouse, husband
I
and wife,
mean, yeah,
spouse.
yeah. I mean, it's just crazy. I don't get these guys just get divorced. I granted you're gonna be broke, but that's just the way life
That's what
is.
I was gonna say. They just don't want to give up the money. That's all it
Oh,
is.
exactly. That's what it is. And they think that they're just gonna go on with this other girl, and I just they're dumb.
World's Dumbest Criminals. Do you remember that show from way back in the day? The World's Dumbest Criminals, like the guys that like put Sharpie all over their face to cover their face when they were like robbing a bank or something.
Yeah,
World's Dumbest Criminals, same thing.
yeah.
Kill your
Well,
wife. Wonder who could have done that. Whew,
do you remember this case?
crazy.
William brought up a good case there. Do you remember
Susan
her?
Smith. Yeah. I
She
don't even think I was alive then, but just being such a true crime fan, I'm very familiar with it. She was just up for parole.
That's what I was gonna say, and they denied her parole because
Thank God.
she was talking to people for a documentary, and that was against the rules of the prison. So that's why she was denied her parole.
Really? Well, good.
Yes, she was
Good that it
talking to
just so
people about a
happened to be that
documentary.
way.
Yep.
Good.
I mean, I cannot even believe that she would kill her kids like that. I mean, it's insane to me. It really is. It's insane.
What was her reasoning? What was her
I,
reasoning for that?
I
Like there
don't
was a
remember.
man like it was no, that was Diane Downs, that there was like a different man in her life or something that didn't want kids. But like who you
I
have
don't
children.
remember that.
You have children. I have you don't remember Diane Downs?
What did she do?
She said that a black guy robbed her and carjacked her, and she shot herself in the arm, and then she shot all
Yes.
three of her kids, and said that somebody robbed her, and it was really her because one of the kids survived and told the people in the hospital, "My mom shot me," and that's how she got caught. And honestly, if the kid didn't survive and tell the hospital that, she honestly probably never would have got caught. But she had the superficial gunshot wound to her arm, while they had the actual gunshot wound.
Oh
the
my
the
God.
fatal
I
ones.
do remember that though. And
Yeah,
he,
but why? And that was for a man. That was for a man that said he didn't want a woman with kids.
yes,
I
it's
couldn't
crazy.
imagine. I could not imagine.
I
I
mean,
would
I
rather
just,
I would rather kill the man before I would ever. Oh my no.
he said, thank you. Men don't do it. We're not the only people that do stupid things. We only do about
No,
90% of it.
yeah.
Only about
I'm not
90.
William, I wasn't saying that. I literally said husbands and wives. I corrected myself. I said and wives too, and wives too. Don't
Listen,
worry. I'm not a man hater. I promise.
most women are though.
I know. I know. I know. I know.
No offense. He said not offense.
I promise. I like men. I like the Jonas Brothers.
But listen, I mean, I think somebody else just, I think some women do stupid stuff than men. Is that your relation there?
Oh yeah, that's my husband. He's not wrong. He's been married to me. He's not wrong. He knows.
But I mean, men just, they won't get divorced. They rather kill their spouse than get divorced. It don't make sense. It's just crazy. It's totally insane. And they plan it. Here's the thing, women will kill their spouse. They usually poison them. So guys, watch your coffee, your drinks, your food. It's usually poison. Hey, I got a story for you from Freeland.
Oh
Okay.
boy. Do I
Okay,
know it?
I told this story a couple of days ago too. I had this lady. We used to go to her house all the time. Her husband, we'd arrest her husband for hitting her all the time. He would beat her, abuse her. The charges would always be dropped, this and that. The one day we get called there, and I'm like, I think Dave Bagansky was with me, and we're driving there. I'm like, here we go again. He beat her again. She's gonna drop the charges. Blah blah. We get there. She stabbed him right in the face with a steak knife, and it. Morgan, you're gonna laugh. It went through this part of his nose, right through this part of his nose. Like she stabbed him sideways, and it went right through his nose.
So he just had a really nice piercing. Around what year was this? Because I never heard of that. Around what year was that?
It was when I wasn't even a chief yet. That was way before you were born, probably. Way before.
Stop. No
It happened right on
way.
Center Street. And I gotta admit, when I got on that scene, I kind of laughed when I saw his nose.
But did you like laugh in the way of like, good for you, motherfucker?
Oh, I love that she
Like,
did it. I love that she did it. Oh, he remembers that. He remembers that. All right, Bill. I know who Bill is. It's Mick Blue. He's a big Michigan fan. He's a big Michigan fan.
Who Freeland?
Listen, but I swear to God that happened. I could tell you so many stories about Freeland.
Oh
And
my
I'm going to be
gosh.
honest with you.
So could I.
I was a cop in Harrisburg for the same amount of time. I was a cop in Freeland for 14, in Harrisburg 13, and I enjoyed Freeland way more than Harrisburg. I loved Freeland. I did. It was a great place to live. Well, I didn't live there. I worked there. But it was a great place.
I lived there. I'm like, it was. You know what it was? It was a really, really great place to be a kid and a teenager, but probably not a great place to be a parent of a kid or a teenager, if that makes sense. I
I
don't know
know
how
what
to
you
word
mean.
it.
Yeah.
We had our Freeland kid gang, and it was, it was a lot of fun back then, and we all survived, shockingly.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed my time there. I always thought the community was like a tight knit community. I remember all the parades, everybody would come out. I honestly, I enjoyed all my time there. I loved it there. I really did. I
It
always
was
say that.
nice. And it used to be so nice. I remember they used to block off all of Center Street for the big like Memorial Day, not just parade, like where they would have like all the vendors and stuff. And oh, I would look forward to that every year. That was my Disney World every year to walk up to Center Street because I lived right by the YMCA. So it was like my thing. Oh, Dallin went to Freeland, and he's giving us his thoughts.
Listen, no, I just went back a couple weeks ago, and I gotta admit, man, because I live in Vegas now, I gotta admit, I think, holy shit, how do people live here?
I do too. I do too. So my husband, when we went last summer, like so not 24, but 23, summer of 23, and he's taking pictures, and I'm like, why are you taking pictures? And he's like, because the people back home aren't gonna believe this. And he's driving past. So we weren't in Freeland at this particular time. We were actually in Lansford, and we are driving past. And you know that, I mean, maybe you don't because I know you moved, but Lansford is like Freeland would be a 10 and Lansford's a 1, if that makes sense. So the houses in Lansford are falling over, moldy, everything like that. A whole but just trash and junk all over, the front. And I think what was it, Dallin? Somebody it was falling over sideways. Somebody walked out or they had a certain toy on the porch or something. And he turns to me and he said, people actually live in those houses? And I'm like, yeah, like this is where people live. Every single house is like that. And yes, this is where the people live here. Yes. And he was just shocked, like just seeing all the different. And then he was, uh, before I took him to my family's house, he was just like kind of looking and he was like, so which house does your family live in? And I'm like, oh, they don't live in any of these ones. They live a little further away.
I grew up in West Hazelton. That's where I grew up. I mean, it's the same
Yeah.
thing. It's the same thing.
But the thing is though, Danny, like when we were growing up, like for you, it was, back in like the 80s and stuff. And for me, it was the early 2000s. So from the 80s and the 2000s, it is very different. But at the same time, it was the same, like in the core. Like it wasn't, the houses weren't falling over and dilapidated back then. West Hazelton, what was Diamond Avenue in the 80s? What was Diamond Avenue in the 80s? Mansions, the wealthy, the
Oh,
big
yes.
giant houses, and that's how it was. Well, now you go there in 2024 and those mansions have 8 families living per bedroom that nobody, cleans or power washes. Like, do you get what I'm saying? So it's just
Yes.
like I went from these mansions with these wealthy families to just kind of these like almost like hoarder houses where you just shove as many people in. And, the cost of living was so cheap, which was so good back in the day. But then because the cost of living was so cheap, you kind of got the cheap people in and the people that didn't want to work for their money and maybe just kind of wanted to take it or things like that. So throughout the years, what it is now is not what it was when you grew up or even when I grew up. I
Oh,
would have
I
considered it a beautiful area back then, just
oh,
not now.
I totally
Not now.
agree. And listen, I mean, even like I think about we had like the West Hazelton football game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we would have 10,000 people come to that football game, and it was so community like. It
It was
really
so
was.
hometown. It really, yeah, it was. It was so hometown, and everything was, like the Hazleton Pride, Freeland, everything. The names of the towns were just plastered all over every building. Like it was so prideful. It was popping. And now you walk through Freeland, and everything is like dilapidated, and I don't know where Danny went. Am I talking to myself? Can everybody else see Danny and I can't? Dallin, can you see Danny? Is it just me? Is it just my phone? Or did he leave?
I'm back.
Hey. Hi. I was wondering where you went. I was like, Dallin, do you see Danny? Is it just me? Is it the stream? What's going on? Hi, welcome back.
I think I lost your mute here. Hang on a sec. Could you hear me? Somebody just called me and it
Okay,
screwed up my
okay.
microphone for some reason.
Here I am. I was muted, but I didn't click mute. But it was muted. I didn't click it though. Are you there now?
All right, could you hear me now?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you for some reason.
You can't.
Sorry, guys. I got a phone call and it screwed up my whole thing. No, for some reason. But listen, that's okay. Listen, we have a
So you
minute
still
left
can't hear
anyway. As
me?
long as the audience could hear us, they could hear us, right? So what we'll do is, Morgan, if you want to stay on, I'm going to knock us off here. And thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. We had a great. I thought this was one of our best podcasts, to be honest with you. All
I
right. Sorry
agree.
about the volume. Somebody knocked
I
me off
agree.
when
I
they
don't know if
called
you
me.
can hear
But we'll
me.
end this. Stay on. Thank you, everyone, for watching.